I'm Jordan. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the AuthorTube Newbie Tag. Before I begin, I'm going to do kind of a brief introduction to who I am. Like I already said, my name is Jordan. I'm working on 2 projects at the moment. One of them is Project Fire. I've been working on that on and off for around 7 years. And the second one is Project Seashell. That one, I'm still in the beginning of it. I took a break, but I'm only on my draft 0 of that one. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the questions. Question 1 is, what's your book's pitch? If you have multiple works, choose your favorite. I am going to choose Project Fire. This is I literally just wrote up this pitch in like 5 seconds, so it's not the best, but a witch rejected by her people is asked to go on a dangerous mission in order to help save them from the people trying to kill them. Does she risk herself and gain recognition, or abandon those who hated her to their fate? Question 2 is, if you were a book, how would you pitch yourself? I am awful at describing myself and talking about myself, and I always feel awkward, but I'm going to do my best. I am someone who sets unrealistic goals for herself and then spirals when I inevitably can't reach them. And that's not just with writing or reading, that's just with everything in my life. I always shoot for the stars, and then when I inevitably can't do it, I get very upset. And I'm also someone who I obsess over my current interests to a borderline unhealthy degree, but we're not going to talk about that. Although some of my other interests, I guess, just to get to know me, I like anime, and I've gotten recently into K-pop, and again, reading. I also watch a lot of like British crime dramas with my mom. Question 3, what do you usually write? I tend to go for write fantasy. A lot of times there's like romantic elements to it, and I also write the occasional like kind of sci-fi horror short story, but those tend to just kind of be short stories. I don't really come up with ideas that can be full-length novels for those. And then question 4, what's something you'll never write? Literary fiction. I just anything contemporary that's taking place in our world with no elements of magic to it. I just never come up with stories that don't have some sort of speculative element of it. I'll read them and I'll enjoy things that, just take place in our world, but when it comes to writing, I just don't come up with stories that aren't, fantastical in nature. What's your goal for starting an AuthorTube channel? I have met plenty of reader friends. I go to different book clubs, but I don't know many people in real life who are writers. And I'd really like to build a community with fellow writers to help hold myself accountable and just be able to talk about some of the struggles with someone who kind of knows what I'm talking about. I also think that if I, go online and I say, this is what my goal is, this is what I'm going to do, I'm more likely to actually accomplish it, because I'd hate to come online and say, I'm going to do this, and then turn around and have to come in my next video and be like, oh yeah, I actually didn't. I accomplished nothing that I said I was going to. I mean, it's definitely happened, but I just feel like I'm more likely to hold myself accountable. Question 6 is, what made you start writing? Pure pettiness. I'll be completely honest, I've always come up with stories in my head, but I never really tried writing them down. I never bothered to, and then I talked to someone and they were telling me about the book that they were writing, and I said, this was years ago, I said something along the lines of, oh, that's really awesome, it must be really hard to write a book. And they look me up and down and say, yeah, not everyone can do it, in a very condescending tone, and I was very upset. It pissed me off. And I took my little notebook that I carry with me everywhere. After the conversation was done, I walked into the other room, sat down, and wrote what is now the first chapter of Project Fire. And what I love about that is so much of that book has changed from when I first conceptualized it to what it is now. Many drafts in, many scenes have changed, many characters have changed, but that one scene, for the most part, has stayed the same. And not from like me refusing to change it just because it's the first thing I wrote, just because it genuinely still fits with the book, because it's the opening chapter. And it's just something that is kind of cool to kind of look back on, because I am genuinely proud of how that was written, and I do think it was well, so when I doubt myself and my abilities, I look back to that chapter and I'm like, oh, okay, like, I like this chapter, I think it's compelling, I think it's a good opening. Is pettiness being the motivation that got me into writing healthy? Probably not, but it is what it is. Question 7 is, what's your publishing path? Self-published, traditional publish, hybrid, haven't decided yet, or write just for fun? Ideally, I would like to be traditionally published, that's my goal, but that could change in the future. Question 8, what content do you bring to the AuthorTube table? I think what's really good about AuthorTube is that everyone has their own distinct story and element and style to it. I watch plenty of videos of other authors on here, and I just seeing so many people with just different situations. You know, some people writing and content creation is their full-time job, and that's really cool. Some people have, you know, full-time jobs and they still have the time to write, still carve out that time to write and still make videos. And just seeing other people with different opinions and different situations can be very inspiring, and I think that's what's beautiful about AuthorTube is everyone brings something distinct to the table, just like writing itself. And I really want to document my process with writing vlogs and other videos to, again, just connect with people and form connections and friendships with people. Question 9, what's your biggest writing struggle? Finding motivation when I feel like my work is terrible. I will rage quit and spiral and abandon the project for weeks when I feel like I'm not doing a good job. And that is very frequent. It's okay, that's what the drafts are for. They need to be bad before they can be good, and I know that, but I do deal with a lot of imposter syndrome and feeling like I don't know what I'm doing and I'm not qualified for it. So that is something I really struggle with. Question 10, what's your best writing skill? As someone who often questions, like I said before, if I'm even good at this, this is really hard to answer, but I really love writing plot twists, and I really take the care to try and set them up and kind of not make them too obvious, so I'm just gonna go with that as something I really hope I'm good at, because I write so many, so I hope I'm good at them. Question 11, if you're new to AuthorTube, what's your biggest AuthorTube question? I have so many questions to people who are far more experienced with writing, but I'm gonna go with a bit of a silly question. How long does it take to get the hang of video editing? It is so frustrating. It's why I've recorded videos over and over again throughout the years and never end up releasing them, because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like it just always ends up being really awkward. So just any general video editing advice, if anyone has any recommendations for video editing software, I'd really appreciate it. Question 11, are you looking for any new channels to follow, betas, CPs, or other types of writer buddies? I am looking for just fellow writers to be able to talk with. I have many channels that I follow, and I'm finding more all the time, and I don't think my project is ready for any beta readers yet. As I'm writing, I am finding issues that I want to solve, or different things. You know, I'll be like, oh, I want to kind of combine these two characters because they're kind of pointless. I want to just combine them, or I want to move these events around. I want to, the scene doesn't really do much. I need to figure out what to do with it, and I really hate to hand off my book to someone else and them take the time to graciously, read it for me and come back with the exact same advice that I already knew. And then I feel like I would have wasted both of our times when I could have just sat down and fixed it on my own before handing it to them. So I'm at the point where I don't really want any beta readers. I probably should, just to see if I'm even going in the right direction, at least like an alpha reader. And that's why I do have my mom. I've sent her some chapters to look over, but I'm not at the point where I want any beta readers. So yeah, if you are also looking for a writer buddy, please comment down below. Introduce yourself, I'd love to start getting to know you. The 13th and final question is, what are you most excited for during this new fresh start on AuthorTube? I feel like I've said this multiple times, but just connect with others and to hold myself accountable. And I'm really excited, like I said, I've already started and I'm a few years into one draft, but I'm still in the beginning of Project Seashell. I'm part of the way through a draft 0. So I'm really excited to just document that process from the sort of beginning to hopefully finishing it one day. Thank you so much for watching my video. Like I said, if you're also looking for a writer buddy, or if you have any tips on anything to do with video editing, please comment down below. I had someone commented in my previous video that I just released asking for a writing routine. I will hopefully be able to finish that soon. It'll definitely be coming out definitely by the end of next week. Maybe sooner, I'm not sure. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day and happy writing.